But who doesn't understand English?
He will understand.
Well, you understand.
Ego. Not so much.
Okay. So 2 people, right? Mohini understands very well.
She understands Russian.
Mohini knows English better than me. Who else doesn't speak English?
英語ちょっとわからない方は、
All right. So it would be ideal to do parallel translation. Is it possible? Same time translation? Can you do? I can try to speak a little slower. But can you do same time translation? Yeah. But they can sit next to you, so that.
あそこで役やるから近くに。ちょっと離れてやってもいい？
離れた方がいい。
Same time. Huh? That takes double time. No need of mic. No mic. You can sit next to her.
Yeah.
Close, close. More close, more close. Whoever doesn't speak English, you have to sit next to her. Because she's not going to speak loud, she's going to speak soft, so you have to sit very close to hear. Okay, sit more close. Okay, so during the last 2 days we were talking about the concept of spiritual entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, yes.
Entrepreneurship
Means business. Which is very strange concept for spiritual activities, because spiritual activities meant to be non-profit. But non-profit does not mean you get nothing, because you still need money to do whatever you have to do. But if you do it not for yourself, but for Krishna, that is spiritual. That's the idea. You can see Srila Prabhupada, he was doing business in his early years, and his business experience helped him to set ISKCON on business principles, selling books, selling prasadam. So these are all business activities, but it's not meant for personal profit. It's all meant for the development of Krishna consciousness, helping other people. Because if people get something for free, like books, they don't appreciate. So it's natural. And so Prabhupada set first purpose of ISKCON to help the whole world spiritually. And that's why it's very important for devotees to be very practical. And understand how to fully dedicate yourself to spiritual activities, and how that can be profitable also. And in order to do that, you have to expand the field of application of Krishna consciousness to all types of professional activities. And this was one of the biggest desires of Srila Prabhupada for establishing Varnashram Dharma. And Varnashram Dharma means devotees are engaged in professional activities for spiritual purposes. And for that, we have to understand very deeply the principles of Krishna consciousness. And we were discussing the article on spiritual entrepreneurship. And this article explains that spiritual entrepreneurship has certain signs, certain features, and we just discussed two most important, which is thinking big and believing in God. Believing that God can do anything. And we are discussing that in regards to the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We read texts 22 and 23. And these texts are describing the position of a devotee who is free from all external influence. And today we will read text 24, which is one of the most impressive texts in this chapter. And this text always this text was very interesting for many acharyas who were giving their explanations. And Srila Prabhupada's purport is also very, very interesting on this verse. So I encourage you to listen very carefully. Because what this text and purport is explaining is very important for our lives, as well as development of Krishna consciousness. So 424, we can chant responsibly. Brahmarpanam Brahma Havir, Brahmarpanam Brahma Havir, Brahmagno Brahmanahutam, Brahmagno Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivate Nagantavyam, Brahmaivate Nagantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina, Brahma Karma Samadhina, Brahmarpanam Brahma Havir, Brahmagno Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivate Nagantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities in which the consummation is absolute and which is offered is of the same spiritual nature.
クリシュナ意識に没入している人は、精神的活動の貢献により必ず神の王国に達する。その活動の極致は絶対であり、捧げられたものも精神的である。
Purport: How activities in Krishna consciousness can lead one ultimately to the spiritual goal is described here. There are various activities in Krishna consciousness, and all of them will be described in the following verses. But for the present, just the principle of Krishna consciousness is described. A conditioned soul, entangled in material contamination, is sure to act in the material atmosphere, and yet he has to get out of such an environment. The process by which the conditioned soul can get out of the material atmosphere is Krishna consciousness. For example, a patient who is suffering from a disorder of the bowels due to overindulgence in milk products is cured by another milk product, namely curds. The materially absorbed, conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness as set forth here in the Gita. This process is generally known as yagya, or activities, sacrifices, simply meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Krishna. The more the activities of the material world are performed in Krishna consciousness or for Vishnu only, the more the atmosphere becomes spiritualized by complete absorption. The word Brahman means spiritual. The Lord is spiritual, and the rays of his transcendental body are called Brahma Jyoti, his spiritual effulgence. Everything that exists is situated in that Brahma Jyoti. But when the Jyoti is covered by illusion, Maya, or sense gratification, it is called material. This material veil can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. Thus, the offering for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent of such an offering or contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor, and the results are all combined together Brahman, or the absolute truth. The absolute truth covered by Maya is called matter. Matter dovetailed for the cause of the absolute truth regains its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman, or the Supreme. When the mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, it's said to be in samadhi or trance. Anything done in such transcendental consciousness is called yajna, or sacrifice for the absolute. In that condition of spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer or leader of the performance, and the result or ultimate gain, everything becomes one in the absolute, the Supreme Brahman. That is the method of Krishna consciousness.
はい、プラッパーダによる解説です。クリシュナ意識による活動がどのようにして人を精神的ゴールに導くかをここでは説明している。クリシュナ意識での活動は種々様々あるが、それは以下の説が説明する。ここではクリシュナ意識の原理だけを説いている。物質に汚染され、制約された魂は当然のこととして物質的環境の中で活動するが、何とかしてそこから抜け出さなければいけない。その道がクリシュナ意識なのである。例えば乳製品を食べ過ぎて腸を壊し、それで苦しんでいる病人を別の乳製品、ヨーグルトで治すようなもの。このギーターで示されているように、物質の海に溺れた制約された魂は、クリシュナ意識によって救い出すことができる。方法は一般にヤギャ、または供養という名称で知られている。ビシュヌ、またはクリシュナを喜ばせる目的だけで行う活動である。この世でクリシュナ意識の活動が多くなればなるほど、環境は浄化され、精神的になってくる。ブラフマンとは精神のこと。主なる神は精神的であり、その超越的な姿より発する光線をブランマジョーティという神の光輝である。存在するものはすべてこの光輝の中にある。しかし、ジョーティがマーヤ、五感の欲望で覆われたとき、それを物質と呼ぶ。物質というベールは、クリシュナ意識ですぐに取り去ることができる。クリシュナ意識に捧げられた供物や業績、それを消費する機関や人、消費する家庭、寄与する人、その結果を混ぜ合わせれば、ブラフマン、絶対の真理である。この円満完全な永遠の実在に、マーヤーというカバーがかかった場合、これを物質現象と呼んでいる。物質現象を絶対実在にぴったり合わせることで、精神性を取り戻すことができる。クリシュナ意識は幻覚意識、妄想を神ブランマンに転化する道である。心がクリシュナ意識に完全に没入しているとき、それをサマーディと呼んでいる。こうした超越意識で行うことは、すべてヤッギャである。言い換えれば、絶対者への供養である。こうした精神的意識のもとにおいては、寄与する人も、寄与された事物も、これを用いる人々も、その指導者も、そしてその結果も、何もかもすべて一体となって、ブランマンに帰するのである。これがクリシュナ意識の方法なのである。Finish.
Thank you. So, that lady understands English. You can understand English? Yes? You can understand English. Good. So, anyone has anything to say about this purpose?
この説についておっしゃりたいことがありますでしょうか？
Is it impressive?
非常に印象的でしょうか？
Anyone wants to say something about it?
これについて言い
This
たい
text
こ
and
と
purpose.
ありますか？
Kumarji.
The milk and yogurt is a very good example.
Okay.
It clears our illusion. Because up till now it was an illusion, and why you have to make money for Krishna?
それは
Good.
例えばそのミルクのことについて、そのミルクで病気になった時にはヨーグルトを使って治
Anyone else?
すっていうようなそのことが非常に印象的でありました。他にありますでしょうか？
Anyone else?
そうですね。はい。クリシュナ意識に捧げられた供物や業績、それを消費する機関や人、消費する家庭、寄与する人、その結果を混ぜ合わせれば絶対真理。
everything we offer to Krishna, and we mix everything with, then that will become the absolute truth.
Jai Shri Radha Govinda ki jai. Okay. All right. So we were, yes.
The snake, it becomes poison.
Saving
energy. It's really become little poison system.
Okay, yes. Spiritual energy becomes spoiled by material desires. So, the most important thing in this purport is what Srila Prabhupada speaks. What is the method of Krishna consciousness? It is reconverting material energy into spiritual energy. Which means practically that whatever you do, you don't have to change what you're doing at all. You just have to fully dedicate your activity to Krishna. And in this way, you will become fully Krishna conscious, and you will make so many other people Krishna conscious, and you'll make a lot of money as well. You'll make more money than now. And we were discussing 2 points in relation to spiritual entrepreneurship. One is thinking big, which means you have to expand your thinking beyond just Hare Krishna community or even Hindu community, but at least expand your consciousness on the whole Tokyo, or better still, on the whole Japan. And ideally to the whole world. Because you have to remember, you're living in a very special country. Whatever happens in Japan is influencing the whole world. You can see that Japanese technology is conquering the whole planet, right? Japanese cooking conquering the whole planet. Yes, Japanese restaurants all over the world, very popular. Now it's time for Japanese spirituality to conquer the whole world. And also that we may say, oh, but this spirituality is coming from India. No, this is Japanese spirituality also. Because you can see that in Shinto there are so many Vedic deities, right? But if you go to Kyoto, you will see first row in the Emperor's Temple, Lakshmi Narayan, Shiva Parvati, Garuda, everyone is there. In Kyoto, yes. Sanju Sangendo.
33元度。
Yes.
33元度があります。
All the Vedic deities are there. So
そこにいろいろな神様が祀られています。
it's the same. Japan was Krishna conscious.
というのは、日本
And
が非常
even
に先進
cow
的な
protection was here before the Second World War.
牛もここでは守られています。
So everything was here, but now under the influence of Kali Yuga, the Japanese spiritual culture is destroyed.
この日本人の精神性が破壊されてきています。
And you have to restore
あな
it
たたちはそれをまた復活させなければいけ
and
ません。
spread it all
そ
over
し
the
てそ
world.
れを世界中に広めていかなければいけません。
But for this, you have to become very
これは
creative
非常に創造的な仕事です。
and think how your
どうすれ
activities
ばこの
can
活動
influence
が
people
他
on
の人
massive
たち
scale.
にその大きいスケールでもって拡大することができるかということを考えてください。
You're already
あ
doing
なたは
some services,
何かの奉仕を。
but this is not enough for
十分
serious
ではありま
impact.
せん。その大きなインパクトを与えるためには、そのシェアリアスではありません。
Like Mohini Murthy is
モヒ
dancing
ニは
for Krishna.
クリシュナのために踊りを踊ります。
She's very expert and she knows some
非常に
yoga
上手
also.
です。そしてまたヨガもします。
And she knows English, so
そして
very
英語も
qualified
知
young
ってい
girl.
ます。そしてまた若い女性です。
So we're quite sure she can do much more than what she's
彼女は
doing
も
now
っともっとここでたくさんのことをすることができると思います。
and become very successful.
成功すると思います。
So how she can become
どうすれば
very
彼女
influential?
が非常に影響を与えることができるようになるでしょうか。
Just
それはちょうど
an idea that
考え
if
があ
she
りま
knows
す。彼女が知って
dancing
いれば踊りを、
and if she knows yoga,
ヨガを知っていれば、
she can
そう
start
すれば
a
始め
new
られます。あなたの中
line
で
of dancing
ど
yoga.
うしてダンシングヨガ
踊るヨガ。
Become
それを始められ
become
る
the
と思います。
founder of
そ
dancing
して
yoga.
ダンシングヨガの創立者になれるのではないでしょうか。
And
そして
explain to people that this is part of very ancient yoga system which is called Bhakti
バ
yoga.
クティヨガと呼ばれる非常に古代から続いているヨガだというふうに説明してください。
And make people on massive scale into devotees.
もう非常に大きなスケールでもって、そしてディボーティにしてください。
Yeah, she doesn't have to change anything. She has to continue with her yoga and
全てを
dance.
自分が
Just add bhakti
変え
to
る必要はあり
it.
ません。
That's
た
all.
だヨガダンスを続けていって、それをバクティにするんです。
And it will become very popular.
そ
Dancing
して、
yoga.
非常にあなたが有名になればダンシングヨガで。
And she can explain the whole philosophy of bhakti through
それ
dance,
を、
right?
バクティをダンスを通して教えることができます。
And
そして、
for example, Kumar Prabhu,
クマール
he's
さんは
already doing very good
もう非常
services.
に良い奉仕をなさっています。
He's helping devotees with vehicles
手
repair,
伝っています。そして
and financially he's helping,
財政的なことでも助
and
けてくれています。それから
he's helping with the temple repair.
テンプルを修理したりすることも手伝ってくれます。
Doing many things,
多くのことをやって、
but still he can do so much more.
でもまだまだやるべきことがたくさんあります。
For example, how he can connect his direct
直
work,
接に
his direct business with Krishna.
クリシナに直接にクリシナの仕事をすることができるか。
Because he's dealing with cars. So how can you connect cars with Krishna?
カーっていう車ですね。車をやってますから、それをクリシナとどうやって結びつけるか。
Putting Krishna books in the car. Very good.
クリシナブックをその中に入れたり。
Yes. And also,
そしてまた、
cars are considered to be Garuda,
ガルダ。
carrier of the Supreme Lord.
ガルダは至上主を運んでいく鳥です。
So
ですから、
if you put Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra in each car, it will become eternal Ratha Yatra.
それを乗せていけば、そうすれば永遠のラーメンヤトラになると思います。
stickers on the
ステッ
car.
カーを、ハレクリシュナのステッカーを車の上に貼っています。
And if he puts
もし
Nrsingadev in the
ナシナ
car,
デーバーを
he will,
車の
you
中に
know,
入れれ
tell
ば
people
そうす
that
れ
this
ば
is for your
これ
protection.
があなたを
And the
守
only
って
thing
い
you
るん
have
だ
to
よ、
chant,
守っているんだ
you
よ
have to like bow down to Nrsingadev before you drive and say Hare Krishna.
そしてそれを
Then,
車を
you know, he will be
ドライブ
protected.
するときには非常にこれが安全だということを教えることができると思います。
Because so many people die in car accidents.
たくさんの人たちが事故で亡くなっていますから。
More than 1 million people every year die in car
毎
accidents.
年車の事故で1万人以上の人が亡くなっています。
And about 50 million people become disabled in car accidents. So horrible. Huh?
5万人以上
Oh,
の
really?
人が
You've been to a
車の
serious
事故
car
で
accident. Huh?
非常に怪我をしました。大きい怪我をしています。
You look very healthy though.
My left leg is artificial.
Oh, really? Wow.
Car accident.
足のことですか？
Yes.
I'm the best example.
Yes.
マルさんは自分が一番いい例であるとおっしゃっています。
So people can understand it very well, and so it's very easy to encourage them to worship Nrsingadev.
そして彼のことをよく見ると理解できると思います。
And by worshiping Nrsingadev and chanting Hare Krishna, they will definitely become Krishna conscious.
クリシュナのことをチャンティングして、そうすればクリシュナ意識になります。
And in this way, they will avoid the worst accident in their life, which is to take birth again
もう一度この世界に生まれ
and
るということはあり
lose
ません。
opportunity to become Krishna
そし
conscious.
て、クリシュナ意識になるチャンスを取ることができます。
So these are some
これ
examples.
が少しの例です。
Basically, according to this purport, we can understand that there is
この
no
目的というものを理解
one
すると
profession, no one activity in the world which cannot be connected directly to Krishna consciousness. Right?
クリシュナ意識に結びつきなさい。
And in order to figure it out,
それをよくするためには
we have to pray to Krishna
私たちはクリシュナにいろんな
Chant Hare Krishna
クリ
very
シュナを
seriously
そして非常に真剣
and
になってそして
also read Prabhupada's books
プラブパーダの
because
本を
that
読みます
helps
それが
to
助けてくれ
get
ます。
spiritual
精
intelligence.
神的なものにふけていくということに助けていかれます。
How can you do what you enjoy doing,
読むことを
do it for
楽しむこと
Krishna,
ができるでしょうか。
make a lot of
クリシュナのため
money,
にすることです。
and make a lot of people interested in Krishna consciousness?
そして他の人にもたくさん面白いことを教えてやってください。
And if you really want it,
もし
Krishna
本
will
当に
give you intelligence.
欲しいと思えば、クリシュナはくださいます。
But
でも、
very serious spiritual practices and association with devotees is very important in this
精
regard.
神的なことを求めて、そしてディボティと精神的に交際することが必要です。
And so we will continue with some points from article.
この記事についての少しのポイントについて話していきたいと思います。
And
そして
the third point is see abundance, not scarcity.
十分なことがあって、そして不足はないということです。
Spiritual entrepreneurs see abundance rather than scarcity.
精神的なことになれば不足というものはなくて十分であるということがわかります。
If you give a dying church
もし
$10,000,
ちょっと待って
how much it makes in 1 million yen, right? $10,000? 1 million. 1 million yen.
1ミリオン100万 ?100 万
Yeah. Say give a dying church 1 million yen ekoman, and they will think they are broke and need to conserve it.
教会にやるとすれば、そうすれば、
But if you give the same money to spiritual entrepreneur,
同じ精
he
神
will see
的
it
な
as
ことを
seed
やって
money
いる
to
人にやれ
start
ば、そ
something big.
うすれば、もっと大きなことにそのお金を使
To
う
a
と思い
dying
ます。
church, 5 leaders is a defeat.
ここから立ち上がれないようなその教会というものをやったとしても、
But to spiritual entrepreneur, it's a good start.
ことについては、精神的なことをやっている企業に与えれば、それは
Same facts, different mindset. attitude is everything.
それはその私たちの態度の中に全てがあります。
So this is really
これは
important that
非常に
Prabhupada was
プラ
saying
ブパ
that
ーダが
ownership
おっしゃっていた
makes
ことで
dirt into gold.
dirt
Into
into
gold.
gold.
Ownership.
塵を金に変える。
So this is really
これは
important
非常に重要なことです。
that
それ
you
はあなたが
take personal responsibility for what you are trying to do.
自分が責任を持つという
And
こ
then
と
with
です。
very little resources, you
そ
can
し
do
て
a
少
lot.
しそのことに対してあなたたちはあまりその資源がないと思いますけれども、
Then point number 4,
第4番目のポイントです。
think
考えてくだ
vision
さい。
first,
ビジョンを考えてください。
resources later.
そしてそのリソースってその資源というものは後からついてきます。
And yeah, coming back to point number 3, we're discussing all this in relation to
今
Srila
度は
Prabhupada.
シュレプラブパーダの話に関してまず3番目のポイントに戻りたいと思い
Did
ます。
Srila Prabhupada had much
シュレプラ
money
ブは
to start his mission?
いくら持っていたでしょうか。クリシュナ式を始めた時に
40 rupees, right?
40ルピーです。正しいです
It's
か。これは
less than 1,000
以下
yen.
です100円以下です。
100円
100円 ?100 円
I think 500 yen, right?
500円だと
That's
思
all
い
he
ますけ
had
ど、500
in
円
his
しか。
pocket.
50円
That time it was around $20.
80円。
?80 円
That time it was around $20.
でも、とにかく、
Yes.
I think
ない
$7
ない
it was at the time. So it was about 500 yen a maximum.
それ
So
くらい
less
の
than
お金
1,000
しか
yen.
持っていませんでした。
So he didn't have much,
彼
but
は少しもお金持っていませ
he
んでした。
made
彼は
huge success.
非常に大
that
きな
little,
成功を収めました。
Why?
お金は持っていなかったけれども
Because he saw abundance rather than
彼は
scarcity.
その自分が持っていないということよりも、その自分が十分に持っていると
You may think, oh, I don't have much.
私は
But you are living in
あま
one
り
of the
持っていないと
wealthiest
思って
countries of the planet,
そして、
right?
そしてこの
People have so much money, right?
この惑星
Nitai
で
Guru
は非常に多
Sundar
くの
Prabhu
人
can
は
tell
お金
you
をたく
how
さん
much
持
money
ってい
people
ます。
have.
どれくらいお金を人々が持っているでしょうか。
Yeah. A lot of money.
非常に多くのお金です。
So you just have to connect with it.
これ
That's
を
all.
一緒につなげてみてください。
And
そして
yesterday we were
昨日
talking
は
that,
私たちは
for
話をし
example,
ました。
government
政
is
府の
the
ことに
big
つい
source of
て
money.
それは非常に多くのお金を必要と
They
してい
take
ます。
taxes
そ
from
れは
so many millions of
税
people.
金を何百万人もの人から集
And
め
they
ていま
have
す。
to use this
そ
money
れそのお金を
for some good purposes.
何か良い目的のために使わなければいけないんです。
So if you offer them some
も
good
しそれ
idea
を使うのであれば
and good plan, they'll give you
良
money.
い
Why not?
計画をして、そしてそのことにお金をあげるようにします。
And so many people do
非
that.
常に多くの人たちがそのことをやっていま
It's
すけれ
called
ども、
government contract.
イスコンは
It's not hard.
政府とは同じ反対のことをやっています。
And doing business with the government is very
政府のためにビジネスをやるということは非常
reliable.
に
No competition.
モービーがの
No
競争がありません。
No competition. So
ですから、
then, and
そして
actually,
また
it's
実際には
very interesting how much effort Srila Prabhupada was making trying to connect with government
ラ
officials,
ブパーダは
right?
政府とコネク
Both
ト
in India
関係
and
を
in
取るため
America.
にどれくらいのお金が必要だったんでしょうか。
But at that
でも
time,
その時
he
に
didn't
彼
have
は
much
そんなにたくさん
qualified
お金を
disciples,
持っていません
professional
でした。
disciples. They were mostly all
45人の
hippies,
ディサイプルと、
drug addicts, so he couldn't do much with them.
彼はそれ以上のものを持っていませんでした。
But nowadays, it's very
でも
different. We
でも
have
今
so many
それは非常に
professional
変わってきてい
devotees
ます。
who
そして
can do
プ
wonderful
ロフェッ
things.
ショナルなリボーティーもいて、
All of you,
あなた方
each and
みんな
every
が
one
そう
of
だと
you
思います。
can establish very successful project, I'm sure. If you really want it, and if you believe that it is possible. And belief is not any religious thing. Belief is coming from knowledge, being informed. So many other people doing big things. What's the difference between them and you? It's just different thinking. So you have to change your thinking, that's all. And then you will be doing big things as well. There is no bar. And what do you need? Point number 4. Think vision first, resources later. So what comes first, vision or resources? Spiritual entrepreneurs are very comfortable with the reality that vision precedes resources. And big vision connected to your mission will often lead to significant resources later on. But if you will wait for big resources to have vision, it will never happen. Did Prabhupada have big vision?
リソースって言ってるからお金とか
ビジョンに対して資源とか結果です。
リソース result?
Result.
Oh, you said the result?
Resources.
リソースはお金とか資源とか。
ビジョンの後でそういういろんなものが与えられる。Okay.
So, did Prabhupada have clear vision of what he wants to do? Yes.
そうですね。
How clear was that
それが
vision?
どのようなはっきりしたビジョンだったでしょうか。
Seven purpose.
Yes. 7 purposes of ISKCON. Very good example.
7つのイスコンの目的。
How clear Prabhupada's vision was.
どんなにラビパーダのビジョンがクリアだったでしょうか。
And
そして
also, when Prabhupada didn't have any disciples, any centers, nothing. And he was sitting in the park alone. And he was very happy for some reason, sitting there alone. And one man was passing by. And he became very attracted by Prabhupada. He said Prabhupada somehow reminded him of Jesus Christ.
そして、プラブパードを見て、ジーザス・クライストを思い出したと言いました。
Because spiritual effulgence coming from Srila Prabhupada was very attractive. And he was surprised what this kind of man is doing alone in the park late at night. And he came to Srila Prabhupada, he was asking, who are you? What are you doing here? And anyone remembers or anyone heard what Prabhupada responded? What did Prabhupada say? No one knows? Who wants to know what Prabhupada said?
この時プラブパーダが何をおっしゃったか知りたいと思う方。
Prabhupada said,
maybe already my disciple,
私の弟子は
just time it.
インドにいて。
yeah. First he said, yes. First he said, I'm a big spiritual leader of international movement, spiritual movement.
精神的な 国際的な運動というものを作ると彼は言いました。
And I have many, many centers all over the world.
センターを世界中に作ると彼は言いました。
And I have thousands of disciples all over the
何千
world.
人もの弟子も作ると言いました。
And this man
そし
said,
てこの男の人は言いました。
where are they? Where are your disciples? And why are you sitting here
あ
alone?
なたはここ一人で座っているのに、どこにそんなセンターがあるんですか？どこにお弟子さんがいますか？とその男の人は聞きました。
And Prabhupada said, it's all there. It just time separates me from these things.
それはいろいろと離れているけれども、もうすでにあるんですとプラブパーダは言いました。
So this kind of vision you should have
このような種類のビジョンをあなたは
for your
持たな
future.
ければいけません。将来のために。
So clear that as if you're already living in that
こ
reality.
れこの
Then it will
私たち
happen.
がこの現実の中にいながらそういうはっきりとしたビジョンを持つようにしてください。そうすればあなたたちは幸せになります。
And point number 5, which is really important, invest
非常に
in personal and team development. Invest in personal and team development.
in personal
Personal. Invest.
イ
Invest
ンベストは投資をする。非人格的な impersonal invest in personal
into personal and
Oh.
team development.
投資をしなさい。それは人々の人間的なそのチームの発展のために力を注いでください。
So basically, this point
こ
explains
の
that
基本的な
at least some part of the money should go into
少なくとも
development,
少しは
personal development and development of your team.
人間的な自分の発達と、そしてチームとしての発達、その両方。
And
三谷さん、
what Srila
ちょっと
Prabhupada
変わってくれる？疲れてきた。
was Srila Prabhupada investing into his disciples?
まあ、どうやってプラパーダがその弟子にそういう発展をさせたのでしょうか。どのようにして。
Yes or no? Big time, right? That in the beginning, you can translate
いや
parallel.
初期の頃、
In the beginning, when Srila Prabhupada was got 26 Second Avenue
まあ、20
front shop
アメリカのそこのアベニュー
and small apartment.
まあ、小さなアパートでした。
And then he didn't have real disciples because no one got initiation
まあ、
yet.
まだ弟子、
They were just students. They were interested coming and hearing from Srila Prabhupada philosophy, taking part in kirtan.
そこでキルタンをしたりしました。
But then one of them, he came early in the morning, and this was Sunday morning.
まあ、日曜
And
の
he
朝
said,
ある
Swamiji, I want to ask some questions on philosophy.
どうかあなたに哲学的な質問をしたい。
And then this man was asking questions, Prabhupada was giving answers.
で、
And
質問して答えをプラパーダが与えました。
after some time, Srila Prabhupada stood up and he went to one table, and there was one box on the table and some money in the box. And Prabhupada started counting money there.
まあ、ある時テーブルに箱を置いて、そのお金をプラパーダが数えていきました。
And then Srila Prabhupada said, I'm sorry, I cannot talk to you longer because I have to go out and sell some of my books to make money.
ごめんね、僕は今忙しくて、あなたと話ができませんと。外に行ってこの本を売りに行くからです。
Because I need to go and do some shopping for Sunday feast.
まあ、サンデーフィストの買い物に行かなければいかない。
And then I have to start cooking. So I wouldn't have much
で
time,
料理することは時間ないからダメだよと。
if you can come some other time.
じゃあ他の時にしたらいい。
And then this man realizes what's happening, that Prabhupada personally selling his books
まあ、
to make
この
money
男は悟りました。プラパーダは個人的に本を売っているのだ。
to buy products and cook feast
そしてその収入で、
and then feed everyone.
サンデーフィーストをして、みんなに。
And after everyone ate, clean everything and wash everything.
食べた後、すべて料理を片付けて、クリームも全部自分でやってた。
And this man says, Swamiji, you are so old and you're doing so much effort for our sake. We should be helping you.
スワミジ、あなたはとても年を取っているのに、非常に大変なことをやっているので、私たちは手伝い。
Minimum I can do is give you donation.
とにかく、寄付をまずあげることができる。
And he pulls out $50, which was quite big money at the time. And he says, please take this donation. And Prabhupada says, thank you very much. If you like to help me, I am very grateful. But don't think it is very strenuous effort for me, because it's not, I'm not doing that for any other purpose but serving Krishna.
でも勘違いしないでください。私はクリシナのためには。
I go out, I distribute Krishna's books, and people give donation for Krishna.
クリシナの本を配れば、人々はクリシナのためのその本のために寄付をしている。
And then I'm doing shopping for Krishna and cooking for Krishna and offering to Krishna.
買い物したり料理ができる。
And then feeding Krishna's devotees with prasadam. So it's all serving Krishna. But if you like to help me, this is very good. So we can understand that Srila Prabhupada was not investing some part. He was investing more than he had into his team, into his devotees, right? Into his disciples.
彼はそのシュラ・プラブパーダは自分が持っているそのお金以上、そのもの以上にその自分の弟子に対していろいろなことをお金を使っていた。
So investing in people was his first and foremost priority.
だから人々に対して投資をするということが彼の第一番目のことでした。
And because Srila Prabhupada was taking care of his disciples so much, they fully surrendered unto him because they realized this is their biggest well-wisher. Right? Like one time he said about Malati Devi, who was serving him in India. She said, our relationships are like that she is ready to cut anyone's throat for my sake, and I will cut anyone's throat for her sake.
Cut what?
Cut throat, kill.
その喉を私のために切る。そして彼も喉をそのあなたのためにその喉を切る。
Means ready to do anything, right?
それは何でもする用意ができていると、そのいつでもその喉を切るっていうのは、その人が何でももう引き受ける用意が気持ちがある。そういう意味です。
Okay, so unfortunately we are short of time. We'll just give one more point. Or maybe two, hopefully. So, point number 6 is to believe that this is bigger than you. Because many times spiritual entrepreneurs are criticized. They are blamed that they have big false ego. Of course, sometimes it can be true. But sometimes it may be true. But most of the times it is not true. Because big vision does not automatically means big ego. Real spiritual entrepreneurs, they can combine personal humility with big ambition for the sake of Krishna. For example, the reason why Srila Prabhupada could do what he did, because he was not doing this for himself, right? Those who do things for themselves, their business dies together with them, right? But for whom Srila Prabhupada was doing it all? For Krishna. And that's why Krishna consciousness is spreading, even though Srila Prabhupada is not physically with us more than 40 years. Right? Anyway, we'll take one more point. Sheep first, improve later. First start, then improve. And I think this is very relevant for Japan, for Japanese mentality, right? Because Japanese mentality is all perfectionism. 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 Yes?
Very true.
That you either do something perfectly or don't do at all, correct? This is Japanese mentality, right?
80%.
80%.
Yeah. You cannot do things imperfectly, right? You have to do it perfectly, right? But perfectionists make terrible entrepreneurs. Business entrepreneurs. Terrible business. Because if you wait for ideal circumstances to start something, you will wait forever. It will never happen. Was Srila Prabhupada waiting for ideal circumstances? You know about Friday 13th, right? Friday 13th is the worst day, right? In Japan, it is also there. Friday 13th.
Yes. Black September. It's called Black September. Black Friday.
Yeah, something. Friday 13th. So when Srila Prabhupada started his journey to America? On Friday the 13th of August. You can check on the calendar. He boarded Jaladuta ship on Friday the 13th. This could be the reason why he had 2 heart attacks. You never know. But nothing stopped him. He just carried on. Of course, if he could choose the date, maybe he would choose another date, but he just took whatever was available and he just started. And he tried to reach to influential people, but he couldn't. So he started with a bunch of hippies. And there were so many problems.
非常に多くの問題もありました。
But he still
で
continued.
も彼はそれでも続けたんです。
So this is really, really important that
非常に重要なことです。
you strive for perfection,
私たちが
but you realize that from the beginning it will never be perfect.
決してそれが完全になるということはないんです。
There will be so many problems and mistakes in the beginning.
最初には始めるときには非常に多くの間違いがあります。
All of you can
み
ride
ん
bicycle?
なは自転車に乗ることできますよね。
Yes.
はい。
Did you start riding bicycle perfect from the very first
最
minute?
初から自転車に完全に乗ることができたでしょうか？
How many of you
どれくらい
fell
の
off the
人が
bicycle quite a few times before you learned
あ
how
なた
to
が
ride
そ
it?
れをちゃんと学ぶ前に何度か転んだっていうのはありますか？
Anyone had experience falling off the bicycle?
みんなそういう経験はありますよね。
So this is how it's happening in life.
私たちの人生の中で起こっていることです。
In order to learn, you have to make
学ぶ
mistakes.
ためには私たちは間違いをしなければいけません。
There is no other way.
他に方法はありません。
So you have to
です
agree
から私たちは
go through obstacles and mistakes.
その障害を乗り越えて、そして間違いを乗り越えていかなければいけません。
Okay, so I think we will stop here and any questions, comments, suggestions,
何
complaints.
か感想、いろんなことありましたらどうぞ。
philosophical question. Very long time I have question. この日本語の訳で、さっきほら、クリシュナ部隊が、クリシュナ式に捧げられた供物や業績、それを消費する期間や人、消費する過程、寄与する人、その結果を混ぜ合わせれば、ブラフマン絶対の真理です。それを捧げるっていう言葉だったら、ちょっと僕にはピンとくるんだけど、この混ぜ合わせればっていうのは、これ、英語の訳だからちょっと知りたいっていうのと、もし混ぜ合わせだっていうことがあってんだったら、混ぜ合わせるとどういう意味がわかる？
少し前に。
342ページ。
お姉さんに。お姉さん。
ちょうどね、ページの合わせ目の次の
でもこれあれで見てる。
英語でします。
英語で。
ジョーティ、ブラーマジョーティなんだ。もっと先。2、3秒先。
The rays of his translated body are called Brahmajyoti. Is spiritual effulgence. Everything that exists is situated in that Brahmajyoti. But when the Jyoti is covered by illusion or sense gratification, it is called material.
It's not.
その前。
違うよ、その後だよ。クリシュナ意識に捧げられたこの業績だから。その後。
This material really can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. Thus, the offering for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent of such an offering or contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor, and the results are all combined together. 結合されているという言葉なんです。
コンバインドっていうのをここで混ぜ合わせるって
間違ってる。メッセージ。
それが正しいのか間違ってるかわかんないけど、そのコンバインドってこれどういう意味でこう、それがこんな成り立つの？
The Japanese translation of this book
Wrong translation.
may be confused with
Okay.
Yes. So if he wants to know, combined together, what does the mean this combined?
Combine means everything together.
Combine は全部一緒になるっていうこと。
In the Japanese translation, it's like
クリシュナのため
mixing
に
everything.
クリシュナ意識で捧げられたものとか期間とかそういうものは、それらすべてが絶対の真理である。そういうふうに素直なやつ。
Is it if we offer everything with the Krishna consciousness, that is a Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, this is the idea that if you use whatever for Krishna, then from material it becomes spiritual. That's all.
クリシュナのためにいろいろなものを捧げたりいろいろすれば、全部それが精神化される。
だから絶対死ぬ。
This is what we are discussing for a good hour in here.
やっぱこの混ぜ合わせればっていうかちょっとおかしいよね。Something funny.
Yes.
Maharaj, who was that person to whom Prabhupada said, I'm the spiritual master of the world? The person who came to the park to ask, who was that person?
It was someone, his name was Mr. Ruben, and he was, I think, some train conductor or something. Simple man living in New York. It's all described in Prabhupada Lilamrita. But this was not the only instance. Before Prabhupada even boarded Jaladuta, he gave interview to one newspaper reporter who was asking, Swamiji, who are you? Why are you going to America? And Prabhupada said, I'm a big leader of an international spiritual movement, and I have so many disciples in America waiting for me. And when I come, they will all organize my preaching in America. And after I finish preaching in America, I am going all over the world to preach Krishna consciousness there. And at that time, Prabhupada didn't know even one person in America.
インタビューを受けたときに私は弟子をたくさん持ってるからアメリカにたくさん持ってるから行くんだよって言ったときにでも
So this kind of vision Prabhupada had.
一人もアメリカに弟子なんかいなかったんです。
Even before he came to America. And it's very interesting, you know, Prabhupada Lilamrita is very interesting book that Prabhupada came to Butler, Pennsylvania, small town in Pennsylvania. And in there, he became a big news, a real Indian Swami in town. And so they started inviting him to give classes, university, school, church, everywhere. News reporters, Butler Star were writing articles about Srila Prabhupada. He achieved some success. He became like a celebrity in Butler, spiritual celebrity in Butler. And what he did next? He dropped the whole thing, boarded the bus, and went to New York. Because he didn't come to America for Butler. He came for the sake of the whole country. And he went to New York, even though he absolutely had zero contacts in New York. So, but his vision was so clear. He knew exactly what he was doing. And why he didn't go to UK? Because from India it's much closer, right? He didn't have to risk his life so much. He could go to London. But he didn't go. Because at the time, America was the dominant country on the planet. And he wanted America, and he knew, I have to start with New York. Prabhupada had such a clear plan. And that's why it worked. Because he calculated everything. So he is an amazing example for us, how to be successful. But big vision is really the
彼は非
key
常に大きなビジョンを持ってい
for
ました。
success.
そしてそれは成功のための大きなビジョンでした。
This is something which is inspiring me personally.
で
You
こ
know,
れ
like
が
first purpose of
私たち
ISKCON,
が彼が非常に
Unity
感銘
and
を
peace in the
受
world.
けたことです。
And this is why I'm traveling to key destinations on this planet: New York, Los Angeles, Tokyo, Sydney, all other places like that,
私はだからニューヨークやロサンゼルスや東
and
京
trying to encourage
い
the
ろんなところへ
devotees.
行っていって、そして私はそこにいる
Wake
人
up.
たちに勇気を与えたいと
You have
思
brilliant
います。
opportunities. You are sitting on a gold mine here.
で、あなたたちはこ
Just take
の
advantage of it.
金の鉱山の上に座っているんだと思います。
Just have a desire, very strong
ただ
desire.
その大きな望みを持って
Krishna is fulfilling everyone's
クリ
desire.
シュナは必ず私たちの望みというものを満たしてくださいます。
Even materialistic people who just want to
たとえ
enjoy
物質的な
their
人であって
senses and do so
も
many
そ
foolish
して
things.
感覚
Krishna
的
is
なことを楽しみたいと思っていても
Krishna is fulfilling even their desires.
クリシュナは私たちのその望みというものを
Why
感じて
Krishna will not
満
fulfill
たしてくだ
devotees'
さいます。
desire.
ですから、ディボーティの望みというものをクリシュナがご存知でないということはないんです。
So you just have to have very strong
だ
desire
から非常に大きな強い
Very
望
clear
みを持
vision
ってください。そしてはっきりとしたビジョンを持って
That's all.
そしてそれを計画してください。それだ
And
けです。
it may not happen
それ
immediately,
はすぐには
but if you carry
発
on,
生しないかも
it
し
is
れない。
guaranteed it will
知
happen.
れないかもしれませんが、それを個人的に持っていって、それを続けてください。そうすれば成功につながるということが保証されます。
All right.
If we see the history, it looks like Prabhupada is one of the prophets because he has all the qualities of a prophet.
Of course. Yes. And this is amazing that this article is actually talking about Apostle Paul and spread of Christianity, and it's 100% describing Prabhupada. This is one of the first disciples of Jesus Christ, Apostle Paul. Paul.
ポール、パウロ。
あ、パウロ。
うん
Yes.
パウロがそのキリストの最初の弟子。
あ、そうです。
Yeah, and Prabhupada is, of course, spiritual sadhu. One sense. His vision is that he understands future. But we are not so much like that, but
No, Prabhupada said you all have to be like me. This is his instruction to us, so we have to fulfill it.
あなたたちは私みたいになりなさい。これが彼
All
の
right.
教えです。
So we'll do a little kirtan, and then
少し切るためになって、
I have some Giriraj Mahaprasad at the end.
ego.
Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Jai Mahaprabhu.